How do you say get the out of here in Chinese? Level 1, 门在那边。Level 10, 出去。Level 100, 滚。How do you say go to hell in Chinese? Level 1, 去死啦。Level 2, 去死。Level 3, 去死吧。Level 100, 你怎么还不去死啊？你死一死好吗？你活着浪费空气，死了浪费土地，连现在我跟你说话我都觉得晦气。How do you say I don't care in Chinese? Level 1, 我不在乎，我不在乎。Level 2, 关你什么事？关你什么事 ？Level 10， 关你屁事儿！这嘴一天天叭叭的，就想有嘴巴。How do you say? Textbook told you 你在做什么 means what you're doing, but what you don't know is that in real life we rarely say that. There are a few ways to say what you're doing in Chinese.
你在干嘛？
你干啥？你在干什么？干嘛呢？ Sarcastic one. 你没事儿吧？你没事儿吧？ Textbook told you.
How to say shut up in Chinese? Level 1, very friendly. 你可以小声一点吗？你可以 Can you 小声 voice down 一点 a little bit 吗？Level 2, Can you be quieter? 你能安静一点吗？你能 Can you 安静 quiet 一点 a little bit 吗？Level 3, Shut up 闭嘴 B shut 嘴 mouth Shut your mouth 闭嘴 How to say We Chinese always say 对对对 It's like yeah. In Sweden dialect 对 is So 对对对 is In Russian 对 is 打 So 对对对 is 对对打 In Japanese 对 is 嗨对对对 is hi We Chinese always say
Hi, hello, konnichiwa, what's up? I'm gonna teach you guys how to say shut up in Japanese. Yes, before you say, isn't it just damare? Shut up! Right, you're right. Damare does mean shut up, but like, that one's still like, it's too cute, you know? You could be like, damare! No. I'm gonna teach you how to say it with a little bit of spice. And yes, I know my nails are disgustingly overgrown, but you know what? It touches on it, so mind your damn business. Alright, I'm gonna break it down for you guys so it's a little easier. First, you start off with oi, bakayaro, which means, hey, dumbass. The next part is urusendayo, which means like you're being loud. And the last part is damattete kunne, which is like the shut up part. And then put together it sounds something like this. Oi, bakayaro, urusendayo, damattete kunne. I'm gonna show you the best way to eat natto. So, number 1, I know the last video I made with me eating natto, people were like, you say you grew up eating natto, why are you opening it wrong? Who the fuck cares? I don't like having the lid on, okay? I don't like having the lid on because I want to be able to beat my beans in peace. For fuck's sake. Like, you guys complain about the weirdest, dumbest shit. Look, whether I open the package correct or not, there's still beans. Okay, so this is the ume mixture. I like ume, which is, if you guys don't know, pickled plum, which I'm going to show you in a bit. So this is what ume looks like. Ume boshi. So these are pickled plums. I love eating them. I ate like 5 of them today. And I don't suggest you do that because for most people that's going to give you diarrhea because it's pickled. But I have constipation, so that doesn't really happen. I like to put this inside. So let me just... It's so good. Like, painfully good. Okay, I'm going to take the seed out. This is what the seed looks like. I'm going to suck on it. Here's the ume. I like to mash it up in here. My natto is a little bit frozen because if you want to elongate the lifespan of natto, you should just freeze it. And it's always worked for me. Oh yeah. Oh, that looks so good. I just worked out and I was like, oh, I'm becoming healthy, so like let's have some protein. So I decided to have some natto. I love natto. Look how frothy it is. Ready?
If you've always wanted to drink a magic potion, then boy oh boy do I have another drink recipe for you. This is stinging nettle, Urtica dioeciea, and contrary to popular belief, she's edible. This time of year, she's easy to ID. She has these sharp, serrated leaves. The stems have these funky grooves in the middle, and they are covered in, yes, stinging hairs. And when you look at the leaves from the top, the leaf stem has that little divot down the center. Now get your gloves or a bat and gather about 2 or 3 cups. I've been stung so many times, but I'm still afraid. I respect you so much, stinging nettle. Please don't hurt me. I love coming to the creek to pick nettle. Can I help you? Time to leave the creek and enter the kitchen. What? We're home. Give your nettles a little bathy bath. Boil your nettle. Cool your nettle. Blend your nettles. Pour yourself some sparkling water. Here is our beautiful green nettle water, and we're going to add it to the sparkling water. I love it so much. And now in front of your friends and family, you can drink a mysterious green liquid that actually is just delicious and really good for you. You think it'll be weird, but nettles are just tasty. Enjoy your vitamins A and C and K and several B's and also iron and magnesium. Happy snacking, don't die.
While it may not be authentic, orange chicken will always have my heart. Cutting some chicken into small pieces, breast or thigh is up to you. 1 egg, soy, oil, grated garlic, and grated ginger. By all means, use a store-bought in a tube. I just think fresh is better. Give that a mix. Then we add cornstarch, flour, and baking powder. Almost forgot, white pepper, salt. 1 more mix. Each piece should be coated in that batter. If it's not, keep adding flour and cornstarch. Love her, leave her alone. The magic is in the sauce. We're adding the zest of 1 orange. I learned that this is the correct way to zest something versus like rubbing it like this. Who knew? Cut her open, squeeze juice. Orange came in there. Don't act like you wouldn't do it. Broth of your choice. This is just some bone broth I made. And again, I prefer mine saucy. Brown sugar is our sweet, soy is our salty, and rice vinegar is that twang. And of course, more garlic and more ginger. Always assume there's garlic and ginger. Time to fry. Chopstick test. She's bubbling, so she's ready. Add these 1 piece at a time so that they don't stick, and in a few batches so we don't overcrowd the pan. This is my favorite site. After 4 minutes, remove your chickies. Second batch in. Batch 2 coming out. Crank up the heat. We want the oil to be nice and hot when we double fry. First fry is to cook, second fry is to get it nice and crispy. Double fry till it reaches your desired color. It should only take a few minutes. Gorgeous. Okay, you can definitely switch out pans. I'm just gonna carefully remove this oil and use the same pan. Emptied out my wok. Sauce going in. Optional, but definitely gives you that takeout taste. Shaoxing wine. Meant to do this earlier, just forgot. Cornstarch and water mixed together, which will thicken the sauce. Reduce the heat and let that thicken. Just be patient, it'll become a nice thick glaze. Once the sauce thickens, add your chicken back in. Saute violently. Delicious. I saw this little hack to make like a little divot in your rice. Pack that in. It worked. Beautiful bed for our chicken and sauce. Sesame seeds, green onion razzle dazzle. Beautiful. Fork and a spoon. Bestie, look at that bite.
This is for anyone that can't be bothered to make the most creamy and delicious 5-ingredient creme brulee but wants to know how to make it, because why not? It's so simple and easy, and it doesn't require a blowtorch. Start off by heating double cream with vanilla extract over low to medium heat for roughly 10 minutes or until it starts to bubble. In a bowl, mix together 4 egg yolks, 1 whole egg, and sugar. I think adding a whole egg makes the creme brulee more creamy. Then slowly pour the hot cream in the egg mixture whilst whisking. Pour the mixture through a sieve to get rid of any lumps. Place your ramekins in a baking dish and fill them with the mixture, and fill your baking dish halfway up with boiling water. Bake in a preheated oven at 160 degrees Celsius for 30 to 40 minutes. You will know that it's done when the center slightly jiggles. If it doesn't jiggle, then your creme brulee is overbaked. Cover them and refrigerate them for 3 hours or overnight. For the caramelized sugar, add sugar and water to a pan. Give it a mix and that's it. Leave it alone. Don't use your spoon or spatula again. Heat it over medium to low heat until it turns amber. Pour a little bit of the melted sugar on top of the creme brulee, swirl it around. Wait for a minute or 2 for it to become hard. And that's it. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. This is what happens when you're impatient like me and you don't wait for the sugar to become hard.
I'm gonna be completely honest with you, cooking was the very last thing I wanted to do today. Then I started violently craving beef and broccoli, okay, violently. While I very easily could have gotten takeout, I knew I'd be pissed because it's 10 times better when you make it at home. Beef and broccoli is also so easy to make, so I'm taking this as an opportunity to show you that you can make it too. I already cut up some flank steak into some thin strips and now I'm chopping up some ginger and lots of garlic. Been a while since I've garlic smashed. Adding half of the garlic and the ginger to the meat to marinate. Save the rest for when we cook it up. Baking soda and cornstarch to make it tender and moist. Just how we like it, okay? Oil, soy, and oyster sauce. Give it a mix. Love her, leave her alone. Chop up your broccoli. This would also be a great time to cook your rice. I personally like a lot of sauce, so we're gonna make it real saucy. This is chicken broth, soy, oyster sauce, dark soy, this is for color, sesame oil, brown sugar, and white pepper. Measure from the heart. We will not be adding any additional salt because all this is very salty. Give it a taste. Get whatever pan you're using nice and hot. It doesn't have to be a wok, but this guy's glad the wok is a flex. Oil it up, add in your beef, flatten the pieces, and leave it alone. Once you see it cooking around the edges, you can saute it up. We want that really nice color. After about a minute, I'm gonna remove the meat. We're gonna finish cooking it with the sauce, and you don't want it to be overcooked. A little more oil. The rest of your garlic and ginger. This is optional, but I'm gonna deglaze with some Schaffung wine. It just adds that extra depth of flavor from behind. Add in your broccoli, saute violently, pop a lid on, let that cook a few minutes. It's got that beautiful green color, so at this point I'm gonna add my sauce. Completely forgot there was a teaspoon in there. Let the sauce come up to a boil, then add in a cornstarch slurry. It's gonna make that sauce nice and thick and silky and gorgeous. Once it starts to thicken back up, add your meat. Cook that another minute or so until that sauce wraps around everything beautifully. There's just something about white rice and beef and broccoli. I'm gonna be honest, presentation is something I really don't care about right now. Green onion razzle dazzle. So hungry right now. Sesame seeds just because. Plating, 0. Please ask me if I care. Singapore, everyone ate everything with a fork and a spoon, so now I do the same thing. Really makes so much sense. Beef, the broccoli, and the rice. Immaculate first bite, bestie. Take out who? Kimchi restock. I'm gonna try to make this a little different this time. Always the best part. The best part about kimchi is I make it different every single time, but each time turns out amazing. I just cut a head of napa cabbage into quarters, cut the core part out right here, and then into pieces. Into a nice big bowl, of course sea salt, some water to help, and give it some nice good loving. Love your food, and I'll love you back. Some more salt, another massage. Love her, leave her alone. Usually I use rice flour, but I've seen a lot of creators doing the potato trick, so I'm gonna try that today. A little bit of trauma right here. Bring this to a boil and let this cook. One big ass radish. I usually cut this into matchsticks, but I wanna try cubing them this time. Also gonna chop up some carrots and some green onions. You can add as much or as little as you like of something. It really just depends on what you like. Set those aside. Leave them alone too. I'm doing 1 head of cabbage, so I'm gonna do half an Asian pear. Rough chop because we're gonna blend this up. Half an onion because this one's pretty big. I wouldn't say kimchi is hard. It's just a lot of chopping, but I believe in you, bestie. You know I love garlic, so I'm gonna do an entire head. You can do yourself a favor and apply pre-peeled for this. And a little piece of ginger, I just like to peel with a spoon. Add those to a blender, along with your fish sauce. Don't forget to take the blade out. Almost died last time. Korean chili flakes. You can adjust the amount depending on how spicy you like it. I love spice. Spice up your life. Gonna mash my potatoes right into this mix. PTSD. Ooh, I love how thick that got. A little taste. This might be the new way. Cabbage has been sitting and released out a bunch of moisture. Rinse and then squeeze out all the kabusi juices. Beautiful. Add our chopped veg in and this beautiful mix. Double glove. And just get in there. I just know this is gonna be a great batch. I mean, look at that. Taste test. So good. I really need to get one of those kimchi containers. Make sure there's no air in there. Stunning. And cover. Let this sit at room temperature for a few days to ferment. See you in a few days.
I say forgive me for interrupting your scrolling, but may your butler take the liberty of giving you the millionaire's treatment by preparing some millionaire's shortbread for you.
First, grease and line a tin and set aside for later. Then mix 250 grams of plain flour with 75 grams of caster sugar in a bowl. Rub 175 grams of softened butter into the mix with your fingers until it resembles breadcrumbs. Then knead the dough into a ball and press it into the prepped tin. Prick the shortbread with a fork and bake for 20 minutes at 180 degrees Celsius. For the caramel, melt 100 grams of butter with 100 grams of light muscovado sugar and 397 grams of condensed milk. Increase the temperature, stirring all the time, and bring to the boil. Then lower the heat and stir for 5 to 10 minutes more until slightly thick. Once the shortbread base is cooled, pour the caramel on top and leave aside to set. For the topping, I simply melted 200 grams of milk chocolate and poured on top of the caramel. I then placed it in the fridge until it was set and cut it into squares. Finally, I sprayed them with some edible gold paint to make them worthy of a millionaire and served them with a champagne glass full of milk. Here it comes.
Voila, your millionaire's shortbread. I do hope you enjoy it. And if anyone else should require my services, then please leave a request for me in the comment section with the bell icon. Thank you and good day.
On episode 2 of Cooking Potatoes 100 Different Ways, we're making 15-hour potatoes. You want to start with using a mandolin to get ultra-thin slices of potato that you'll then transfer to a bowl and add melted butter and garlic powder. Next, you'll transfer this buttery goodness to a baking dish, then bake low and slow for 3 hours until potatoes are tender. You'll place a piece of parchment paper on top, followed by another baking dish with weights, and refrigerate for at least 12 hours. Flip the cold potatoes onto a cutting board and slice it to perfect little cubes. And while these do take more time than effort in my opinion, I'd say it's well worth giving it a solid 10 out of 10.
Has anyone ever taught you how to brown butter? I will. I've cut our butter into equal pieces. Now, let's go to the stove.
If you're new to browning butter, use a light-colored pan so you can see the butter more easily. Over medium heat, stir your butter until it melts. Once it has melted, it will begin to foam. Don't stop stirring. In about 5 minutes, your butter will change color to an amber brown and the milk solids will start to toast. The smell will be nutty and rich. Once you see and smell these signs, immediately take your butter off the heat and transfer it to a heat-proof bowl.
And there you have it. Delicious brown butter to use in your baked goods. Like my brownie recipe.
magnolias are open. You know what that means. Flower, pick those flower, pick. Foster magnolias like these taste really gingery, so we're gonna pickle them like ginger. This is one of my favorite smells on the planet. What? We're home. Let's pickle. Make yourself a cute little brine with the ingredients on your screen. And while it's heating up, remove the brown bits off of your flour. Now put your nakey buds into a glass jar. And once your brine's all roasty toasty, you're gonna go ahead and pour it over those petals. More carefully than I just did. They will try to float, so you will need to put something on top of them to keep them in the brine for the first few minutes. Done. Look at how pretty the brine is. I'm gonna put some on my red curry. Excuse me, mustard. Bone apple teeth. So gingery. Happy snacking, don't die.
If you like potato dumplings, you have to try these thick and chewy potato noodles. Remember to slurp loudly. Boil one potato until soft, peel off the skin, and cut into small pieces. We only need about 300 grams. I don't like bland potatoes, so I fed the extra to my husband and my cat. Mash the potatoes with a garlic press. Add the potato starch and water. Knead the dough until smooth. Roll half of the dough into balls. Press halfway down with the top of a bottle. Then you'll get a mushroom. Roll the rest of the dough into noodles as long as your cat's tail. Boil until they're floating. Then make a peanut butter garlic chili sauce.
You are cheating. Even my socks taste good in the sauce.
Stir well, then enjoy.
Today I'll be teaching you how to make chocolate salami.
Ew, are you gonna mix chocolate with salami? That's gross.
No, it's called like that because it looks like salami. You'll be needing chocolate, butter, dry cookies, and sugar to make it sweet, like you are. First thing we do is we break the chocolate. Now we let the chocolate melt like I do when I see you or mom. Now we cut the butter gently. Now I'll be mixing the butter with the sugar. I promise it's powdered sugar. I'm also going to add a tablespoon of room, but I'm not going to show it because I don't want this video to get taken down. Oh, what am I adding? Nobody knows. Oh, mystery. Now I will be adding the molten chocolate, molten bagno Maria. Next thing you have to do is break the cookies. So imagine this is the face of your neighbor that lives on the first floor. I'm ready. The cookies should look like this. Don't break them too much. And now we mix everything up. And we put these on parchment paper. We roll it up. And we put it in the fridge. Don't ask why it's so empty. I'm broke. And after 30 minutes in the fridge, the dessert that looks like it has already been digested can be ingested by you.
Today is day 2 of sharing traditional Egyptian recipes with you. And today I'm sharing my mother's delicious recipe for molokhia. You're going to want the Montana brand. You can find this in your local Arabic grocery store. Make sure it says minced molokhia. In a saucepan, you're going to heat up 2 cups of chicken broth until simmering and add your molokhia. Put that to the side, and in a pan on medium flame, add 2 tablespoons of ghee, butter, or oil, and as much minced garlic as your heart desires. Keep stirring to prevent from burning. Add 2 teaspoons of coriander, and an old wives' tale says you must gasp in this part. So add a ladle of molokhia to this pan and keep stirring, and then you're going to return that mixture back to your pot. Keep stirring this mixture on a low flame. You can allow it to simmer, but don't allow it to boil so that it doesn't separate. And you're gonna end up with this delicious, savory, garlicky, earthy taste. This is usually served with rice and chicken, or sometimes another meat. Bilhana wa shifa, and stay tuned for more.
I've rejected affection for years and years. Now I have it, and damn it, it's kind of weird. He tells me I'm pretty. I tell him that he's pretty too. Can I say that?
Almost every culture has their own version of flan, but this is leche flan, a 5-ingredient Filipino dessert. Any good leche flan starts off with halinera, which are basically oval-shaped molds that are great for caramelizing sugar with. The final product ends up being super rich and decadent, which is achieved by only using egg yolks and mixing it with condensed milk and evaporated milk. And to avoid those pesky holes in your flan, you want to mix gently and strain at least 3 times to minimize the amount of air bubbles created. Then simply fill your flan molds and steam until set. Let these chill overnight for best results. It's silky and delicious.
The best gift I got this year was this Pokemon cookbook from my brother. So let's make some Drifloon blackberry marshmallows.
Fire Kirby, for the ones without the power of fiery devastation. Start with cinnamon syrup, cranberry juice, club soda, and express lemon. Flames burn bright.
Today we're making hot cocoa bombs for dogs. Start with a half cup of carob chips and add a teaspoon of coconut oil, then microwave in 30-second intervals until melted. Add your melted carob to your circle molds and refrigerate. For the marshmallows, add a half a cup of water and 1.5 tablespoons of gelatin and stir. Then add a half a cup of water and a half a cup of honey to a pot. Bring it to a boil until it reaches 240 degrees and then add it to your gelatin and mix until it's fluffy. Pour the fluff onto an oiled pan and refrigerate. Once it's firm, cut your marshmallows out and dust them in coconut flour. Now it's time to assemble. Fill one mold with a teaspoon of carob powder and your marshmallows. Heat the edges with a lighter and then join the 2 halves. Top it with some sprinkles and drop it in a cup of hot water. Let it cool down and then enjoy. Today we're making
Kirby, for the ones without the alcohol ability. Start with luster dust, bubblegum syrup, white cherry Gatorade, and club soda. Easily the best character in Smash.
Welcome back to the soup series where I'll be making some of my favorite soups. Today we are making a super simple and comforting dish, egg drop soup. In a pot, combine chicken stock, scallions, ginger, and garlic, and let that simmer for 30 minutes. After the 30 minutes, remove the aromatics and season with salt, white pepper, MSG, a pinch of sugar, and turmeric for color. Now make a slurry by combining cornstarch and water and pour that into the soup until it's slightly thickened. Crack a few eggs and beat them and slowly pour that into the soup in a circular motion. Mix to create those thin ribbons of egg, add sesame oil, serve, and enjoy.
So what's the difference between Italian and French macarons? Well, it's really about how you're making the meringue. It's the same cookie, just different methods. So with the French, we're going to start with our egg whites, put them in the bowl of our stand mixer with the whisk attachment, and sprinkle in the sugar while we're whipping to create this very dense, firm peak meringue that sticks straight up like this. It will gather in the center of the whisk when it's ready, and then you're going to take all that meringue and fold it into your almond flour and powdered sugar mixture, and this takes a lot of folding. This is called macaronage. You can add food coloring, and you're folding and folding and folding until you get to this figure 8 consistency. And it's very easy to overfold this batter. It tends to spread out a little bit more. The surface of the cookies tend to be a little bit rougher, and I feel that they have like a lot of bubbles, but that could just be my technique of mixing. I'm definitely not a pro. I'm still learning. I'm just telling you guys what I have learned. So when you bake these, you have to let them dry for at least 30 minutes, sometimes over an hour, depending on how humid it is outside. And if you don't do this, they won't rise properly. You can see when they bake, they tend to be a little bit rougher on top, and sometimes they just completely fail.
like these ones did. It was just a little bit too humid outside, so the shells are very thin, the bottoms did not rise properly, and they just, didn't work out. And, sometimes they just don't. But the middles are pretty full, so that's a bonus to the French method. For the Italian, we're going to start with some hot sugar that you cook to about 244 degrees Fahrenheit, and you slowly stream that into some whisking egg whites. This cooks the egg whites and makes them very stable. Some people find it a little tricky to pour, but it just takes a little practice and then you'll get it. And then you whisk this on a high, and it makes a very strong meringue that's super shiny, and you can see is a little bit different than the French meringue. This is a very stable meringue that makes it super easy to mix the batter. We're going to start by adding some other egg whites to our almond flour mixture. It doesn't start out dry, and you make this into a paste. And this is, one of the steps that I think really helps with making these macarons really stable. This is a method I learned at my class in Paris that I was talking about. And you can also add some food coloring at this stage, or you can add to your sugar. You add a third of the meringue to the paste, and then you just mix it up. You don't have to be careful. You're just kind of lightening that paste so it's not quite so dense and heavy. And then you add in the rest of your meringue. Gosh, I don't know why this clip is so long. Like, it's just going and going and going. Like, come on. Okay, we're mixing. So you just mix that all up, and you can see that it's just making that paste a lot lighter and less dense. And then you add the rest of the meringue, and you keep mixing until you have the right consistency to make that figure 8, and it kind of like settles into itself. The great thing about the Italian method is that it's pretty much impossible to overmix. You can just keep mixing. It keeps that really nice consistency, and you don't have to worry about overmixing it. In fact, a couple of times I undermixed it because I was just so afraid of overmixing. I was afraid they weren't going to turn out. So you can see the batter is like settling into itself. I can now make a figure 8, so we're ready to go. This batch I was piping on a parchment paper, but most of the time I pipe onto silicone now. And you don't want to wait too long for the skins to form. I only wait maybe like 10 or 15 minutes until it just barely forms a skin. If you wait too long, this is what happens. You get explosions. So it's nice that you don't have to let them rest for very long. And then once you nail the timing, they come out every single time. Doesn't matter the humidity. They just beautiful time after time.
Aqualin-vibin white hot chocolate. 1 1/2 cups whole milk. Heat on medium high. Allow to simmer. Add 1/2 teaspoon blue food coloring. Stir until the milk turns blue. Add 2 cups mini white marshmallows. Stir until dissolved. Grate 1/2 cup white chocolate. Stir until melted and mixture has thickened. Pour into 2 heat-proof glasses. Top with whipped cream. Add a small handful of blue cotton candy. Finish with more whipped cream. Ta-da!
あら、ブラウニーが好きかもな、この人。わかったわ。あなたのために作りますよ。ブラウニー。はい、レシピはこれです。オーブン先輩。はい、じゃあまずはバターを溶かします。こうみたい。そして卵くんと砂糖くんを混ぜます。こうみたいにジェントルに混ぜる。バニラちゃんも忘れないでね。これはさっきの溶かしたのバターです。へえ。ウイスキーベイビー。小麦粉とココアパウダーをふるいにかけます。そして混ぜます。うわー、なかなかいいね。セクシーの 練り粉だね、これは。次は、練り粉、ブラウニーバターを肩に入れます。そしてこんな感じ、スムース。あ、これはオプショナルだけです。ノヤは、アーモンドが好きなんだから、上に追加します。で、オーブンくんよろしく。またね、ブラウニー。おやすみなさい。おはようございます。ブラウニー様、もう準備ができたから。おいしそう。よし、レディーコーベイビー。はい、カットします。ほらよ、見て、おいしくない？おいしくないね。おいしいよ、もちろん。私が作っただからね、このブラウニーが。ほら！この番組は、誰にもないスポンサーの提供でお送りします。ドンあら、あんたたちは、あんなみたいな動画が好きですね。わかったわ。今度は、なんとかチーズケーキみたいな、作りたいと思います。はい、じゃあまずはクリームチーズをどうしたの？ダメじゃないわよ、クソが！はい、ダブルボイルしまーす。練乳を入れまーす。そして混ぜまーす。おい、よし、こんなテクスチャーにゲットしたら、ウィッピングクリームを入れます。そして混ぜまーす。すべての力で使って混ぜてください。ちょっとだけ。テストしたいです。どんな味ですかってわからんからテストするわ。ガチでうまい。バニラはい、混ぜてください。はい、でもウィッピングクリームが足りないらしいと思うからもっと入れます。よし、これからね、もっと欲しいです。もっとミルクを。こんなみたいなテクスチャーはちょっとフェイクなんですけど、まあいいや。ケーキ先輩。そしてケーキの上でクリームレッツゴー。広めまーす。今のステップはなんて呼ぶのかわからん。タン雪だるま作ろう。やだー。もっとチェダーチーズが欲しいなんです。よし、できたぜー。私のベイビー。あれ、これ残したのクリームだ。どうする？捨てるか。次回、残ったのクリームチーズはどうしたらいいんですか？
I'm crazy for feeling so lonely. I'm crazy.
Today we're making potato cheese sticks and it's so easy to make, it only takes 4 ingredients. That is so creamy and delicious. First we're gonna need 2 russet potatoes, peel them up and roughly chop them. Now we wanna boil the potatoes until they're super soft. We're gonna mix in half a cup of cornstarch, about 1 cup of mozzarella cheese, and some salt. Pop this into the freezer for about 30 minutes. Now we're gonna fry these up until golden brown. And there you have it, potato cheese sticks.
Who wants some bread? This is the softest bread you can make at home. We tap yeast with milk, roughly mix with bread flour. It looks like a cauliflower. Keep in the fridge overnight. Day 2. Mix flour, sugar, milk powder, salt, heavy whipping cream, egg white, and the dough we made yesterday with a stand mixer. Mix with medium speed. About 15 minutes later, add softened butter. Keep mixing for about half hour until you're able to stretch it into a thin and translucent membrane. Ferment the dough under room temperature for 1 hour. Then cut the dough into 3 pieces and roll them into 3 balls. Rest them for 15 minutes. Use a pin roller to roll each dough into a tongue shape. Then roll it up. Cover them with a food wrap. Allow them to rest for 15 more minutes. And repeat the previous step one more time. Hold on guys, we're almost there. Put them in a loaf pan, ferment in the oven with hot water on the side for 1 hour. Then brush egg yolk on the surface. Finally, bake it. This is the longest recipe I have ever made. Mr. He said nobody is going to watch till the end. So, are you still here?
I might be a little biased, but my mom's kimchi is literally the best kimchi I've ever had. It's not too strong, it's well balanced, and honestly, I can eat this with a simple bowl of rice and be satisfied. So this is how you make it. First quarter a napa cabbage and then give it a good rinse. Sprinkle on some coarse sea salt, making sure to get in between all those layers. Make a quick brine, pour it all over the cabbages, and set aside for 2 to 3 hours. For the paste, combine Asian pear, onion, garlic, ginger, fish sauce, plum extract, and salted shrimp. Blend until smooth, and then add gochugaru and chopped scallions. Mix well and set aside for the flavors to marinate. Back to the cabbages, rinse and drain to get all the excess water out. Get your ajima gloves ready to start spreading the paste all over the cabbages, getting between every layer. Transfer to an airtight container, set at room temp for 1 to 2 days, and then transfer to the fridge. And in a few days, you'll have something that looks like this.
Let's pack today's lunchbox for my friends and followers. I'm gonna begin by contaminating my tortilla press with a little bit of salmonella, and I beat my meat as much as I could to get it as flat as possible. I can season it up, stuff it with some prosciutto and some Gouda cheese, and then I'll roll it up, secure it with a strip of bacon, and then I take them to my comal so I can give them a nice sear. Finish them off in the air fryer at 360 degrees for about 15 minutes until the internal temperature was 165. Let my little chicken rolls rest before cutting them up into little medallions, and look at what the inside looks like. But we're not just gonna serve them chicken roll-ups, we're also gonna saute some shrimpies and some garlic and some Cajun seasoning. Then I also make them a creamy chipotle pasta with some garlic, onion, chipotle, sour cream, the whole 9. It's kind of like the Mexican style spaghetti. I just don't want to say it's like the Mexican style because then my mom comes after me. So we're gonna gently place the pasta, make it look cute, you know. I had a brand new block of cheese in my fridge. Don't know what it is, Josiah got it, but it had some red onion and I was like, girl, salas. And guys, sorry about the angle. Let's thank my husband for getting me a black screen and I can't see what the hell I'm recording. Anyways, we're gonna drizzle a little bit of that extra chipotle sauce that I reserve, and then I garnish it with a little bit of greenery, side it up with a little side salad and some avocado dressing. For their drink, I made them a delicious bougainvillea strawberry agua fresca. Yeah, you know that bush you got outside of your house? That's what we used. But that is it, guys. I'm just gonna hurry my ass up, get everything ready for them so they can come pick up during lunchtime. Bye!
Welcome to the Glam Kitchen. Well, oh my god, I am back. Even though you don't deserve me. Today we're making sopita de coditos, the Glam way. Now let's open the gates. Oh, hell! Let's see. Tomato. Yes, we'll use the whole tomato, put it there. Half an onion. As much garlic as you want. I showed you how to open a garlic with Mexican power, but you can also use your Glam weight. You put your palm on it and you press in Glam. 1, 2, and 3. Because I feel the Holy Trinity is here present, watching. Do you like what you see? Salt, pepper. Then I add some vegetable broth. Is it called broth? Yes, you can use the chicken one. My god. You could add some chipotle here too, but I just like it like this. Now let's put water. Thank god the torture is over. Let's go to the stove now. Okay, this is the fun part. Why is it so dark here? You need a pot like this. Find it. Yes, you have one. It's there at the back of your things. Just bend over and find it. Okay, so in the pot, we're gonna put normal oil. Let me find it. Where is it? Found it. Vegetable oil. Just put some there. The other half of the onion, you chop it and you put it there in the oil. Like that. Move it a little bit, you know. My eyes are crying. We have to be quick now. So now you're gonna put the coditos in the pot, okay? Oh, I'm sorry. The macaroni. I put half. Move it around. Look at it. You have to fry it, okay? I'm frying the codito. What? What are you? What? That's how we do it. What for though? Nobody knows. Okay, now when it's golden like this, now you can put the sauce in Now fill it with water. Put the water inside. I'm losing my eyesight because of the onion, but just keep going. It doesn't matter how much water you put after, because remember you're making a soup. So 1 bay leaf. Remember to cast the spell you want to make before dropping it. Perfect. Now all you gotta do is cover it like that. Now you wait for it to be done. The smell of success. When it's boiling, it's time to put more salt. In the name of my 5 kidney stones. Look at this movement. Looks like my ass when I run. Okay, it's done. Time to serve. Now you wait a year so it cools off. Yes, I know you can put lemon or cheese or chili or your husband. I don't care how you eat your soup. Leave me alone. I was starving.
A wacky cake from the Great Depression. So the stock market's crashed and we can't afford any butter, eggs, or milk, but little Johnny still wants a cake for his birthday. Selfish brat. Directly into a cake pan goes a 1.5 cups of flour, a teaspoon of floof soda. Bloop. One of the reasons this is called a wacky cake is because you don't need a bowl. Though living in the Depression, I think everyone needed a bowl. Cup of sugar, 1/3 cup of cocoa. Then we just mix it with a fork. Now we make 3 wells. I feel like a gardener. Do you guys remember Farmville? Those were the days. Into 1 well goes 2 tablespoons of vinegar. Next, 1/3 cup of oil. Nilla. And finally, a whole cup of water. Just mix it in the pan. Bake this at 350 for about a half hour. Ooh, it's a cake. Cool completely in the pan. For the frosting, we need a cup of powdered sugar, 2 tablespoons of cocoa, then slowly add water until thick. Beautiful. What? How did that not stick? Are you a witch? This, yes! That's a darn good cake.
I told y'all this food at home. Let's make some pepperoni pizza rolls in the air fryer.
Spread out some pizza dough and top with pizza sauce, mozzarella cheese, parmesan, pepperoni, and carefully roll it together. Slice into rolls, cook in the air fryer with parchment paper, and top with melted herb butter. Pepperoni rolls is one of my favorite things to get at the pizza shop. This was so easy to do. Follow and share for more food ideas.
Y'all asked, so I deliver. Here's my very simple recipe for making zongzi. Start by soaking dried bamboo leaves, then washing sweet glutinous rice, saving the rice water as always. Then marinate the rice with soy sauce, and once the bamboo leaves are soft, twist the bottom half into a cone, stuff with rice, soy marinated pork belly, more rice, then wrap close. You'll end up with a pyramid shape. Tie the top part of the pyramid with butcher's twine, boil for 1.5 hours, and enjoy.
I'm making some ramen in a mason jar so that I have lunch for today and then Thursday and Friday. Right now I'm just cutting up tofu for it. So I'm going to make 3 different flavors. The first one is going to be this with this chili garlic sauce. And this stuff is kind of spicy, so I'm just going to put a little bit. So that's number 1. Flavor number 2 is just going to be miso. So I'm putting some of this miso paste at the bottom of this one. And I really love miso. And then number 3 is going to be this vegetable base, like it's like a paste almost, and you just stick it at the bottom. I'm just going to put a little bit of this at the bottom. Okay, and then along with that, I'm also going to add some soy sauce to the bottom of every single one of them. Oopsie, I spilled a little bit. I'm running out of soy sauce. But I have a brand new one. So I'm going to add just a little bit of this miso ginger broth from Trader Joe's. And then I'm going to add in the tofu. So the tofu is going to be like the second layer. And that way, while it's sitting in the fridge, while you're waiting to eat it, the tofu is marinating in the sauce and it becomes really flavorful. I'm gonna put my noodles in. I'm gonna put a little bit of green peas, carrots, and a little bit of spinach as well. I'm gonna put these two in the fridge until I'm ready to eat them, and then I'm gonna eat this one. This one's the chili one. So, and then you just put water, like warm, hot water over top of it. Put the lid on and then shake it. It smells amazing.
C'est ça l'amour, le grand amour, l'amour qui fait chanter la vie, là dans tes bras, je sais déjà que mon bonheur est en...
Avocado bread from 73. Yes, it seems that before millennials discovered avocado on toast, their forefathers wanted to skip a few steps and just put the avocado directly in the bread. We're gonna see if they were onto something. Of course, they were onto a lot of things back then. We begin with 2 very ripe avocados. Time to open you up. Good morning. Now in goes 3/4 of a cup of sugar. So the avocado is the only source of fat in this recipe, so instead of creaming sugar into butter, we're just creaming the fruit, which is something I happen to be familiar with. Time for 3 eggs. Beat thoroughly. For the dry ingredients, we mix together 2 cups of flour with 1.5 teaspoons of floof powder. That's baking powder. Combine the 2, fold, in you go. We seem to be baking guacamole. 350 for about 45 to 50 minutes. Wow, look at how good it looks. Woo! No way. Woo! This tastes amazing. I'm so confused. Because there's no butter, there's no oil, there's no milk, just fruit.
If you knew how to make egg tarts, will you still be single today?
Yeah.
They are basically sweet pudding filled in butter cookies. To make that pudding filling, you only need to mix egg, sugar, milk, cream in a big container. Keep it in the fridge for now. Then we need the softest butter in your life. Blend in powdered sugar, then gradually blend in half egg in 3 times. Sift in cake flour, mix with a spatula, then with your right hand. Then you will get a very sticky dough. It's too sticky to be handled now. Cover with a plastic wrap. Roll it into SpongeBob. Keep in the freezer until it turns hard. Then you can roll it as flat as kage. Cut out some circles with a cookie cutter. Place them in tart shells. Somebody's hungry. Fill the wrappers with the pudding filling we just made. Be patient, Jimbo. We will need to bake them for 20 more minutes. Oh, you can't eat them anyway, but you learned.
Today we're making some delicious honey buttered fried chicken. These are so perfect. We're gonna add in half a cup of flour, half cup cornstarch, half teaspoon baking soda, and half cup of ice cold water. Now we wanna fry this up until golden brown. For the sauce, we're gonna need half a stick of butter, 2 tablespoons of honey, 2 tablespoons of sugar, and 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. And there you have it, honey buttered fried chicken.
Air fryer bubble tea. Mix black tea, sugar, and water at a ratio of 1:1:1. Then air fry at 380 degrees for 5 minutes until there are some caramelized bubbles. Add 3 cups of milk or soy milk. Air fry for 10 more minutes. In this way, our milk tea will have a caramel taste with a strong tea flavor. Filter out the tea leaves. Directly pour over ice cubes. Enjoy with our homemade brown sugar boba.
Let me show you another rice paper recipe. So rice paper is really delicate, that's why you want to use cold water to dip. It should soften and then just roll it up, cut it into pieces and add skewers. Then you want to mix in your sauce, and all of these are really common Korean ingredients. Once the sauce looks like this, add your rice cakes and let it cook a bit longer to caramelize.
Welcome back to the dumpling series. Today we'll be going over some tips and tricks when you're making your next batch of dumplings. Tip number 1. When you're making your filling, mix it in one direction. The reason why you do this is to create myosin, which helps the filling stick together, and it also keeps it tender when cooking. Tip number 2. Make sure to try the filling before you make the dumpling. What you can do is just pan fry a small portion of the filling and taste it to make sure it's seasoned to your liking. Tip number 3. Customize your dumpling. When I'm making a recipe for dumplings, you don't have to follow everything step by step. You can swap out cabbage for things like bok choy or chives, and you can swap out the meat for things like chicken or beef, or if you're vegetarian, you could use tofu and mushrooms. And my final tip is be patient. Making dumplings is a hard task, especially if it's your first time. Your first batch of dumplings probably won't look the best. I know mine didn't, but with a little bit of practice, you'll get there.
Hey yo, are you still eating ice cream during your period? Time to try our Asian girl's secret weapon. Warm brown sugar drinkable mochi. Mix milk, sugar, tapioca starch in a non-stick pot. Stir until dissolved. Now turn on medium-low heat. Then here comes 3 difficult steps. Stir, stir, and stir. Once it's sticky like this, transfer to a cup. Measurements on lower left corner.
No oven, pink strawberry cream cheese mooncake. The Mid-Autumn Festival is coming soon, so I'm going to make tasty mooncakes for my family. Traditional mooncakes have to be baked in oven, but snow-skin ones don't. You can use snow-skin mooncake premix instead. Then it will be much easier. Steam the mixture for 20 minutes. Until there is no liquid in it. After cooling, need 3 minutes to get a smooth and soft dough. Divide it into equal small pieces, about 20 grams each. Flatten to make a snow skin bigger, so that it can wrap the strawberry cream cheese filling. Use mold to make beautiful patterns. No oven, pink strawberry cream.
Trick or treat, trick or treat, trick or treat for Halloween. Better give a treat that's good to eat if you want to keep life serene. Trick or treat, trick or treat, trick or treat, trick or treat, trick or treat the whole night through. Little scalawags with fiendish gags can make it tough on you. So when ghosts and goblins by the score ring the bell on your front door, better not be stingy or your nightmare will come true.
This is how to make a boba river basque cheesecake. Soften cream cheese at room temperature for half hour until it feels like toothpaste. Use a hand mixer to mix for 1 minute. Adding sugar, mix until it's smooth like butter. Okay, that's an old song. Now adding 3 room temperature eggs one by one. Every time you add in an egg, mix with the lowest speed of your hand mixer for 30 seconds. Did you notice this egg on my left hand never breaks? That was a very tough egg, and I took its yolk. Then add in vanilla extract, having whipping cream and cornstarch to mix well. While you think you made a cake, actually your hand mixer did 90% of the job. Align a 6-inch cheesecake pan with parchment paper. Pour in the mixture. Bake at the top level of the oven for 28 minutes. It's jiggly wiggly while it's hot. Hide it from your roommate and yourself. Keep it in the fridge overnight. Did you know that the centerpiece of the cake and watermelon is poisoning to men, but girls can always eat them for you? Last step, pour heavy whipping cream into the whole, top with brown sugar boba, which I just made in last video. So, let's make some white strawberry, white chocolate, snow skin mooncakes. Not for you. They are for my new neighbors. I used the white chocolate to substitute butter and sugar in the traditional snowskin mooncake filling. Both the texture and the taste turned out perfect. Then make the snowskin. This year I'm going to make my mooncakes green and white. I will say go green, and if my neighbors don't say go white, they can't have my mooncakes. Hehe, just kidding. But I will write your name on my notebook and make you air-filling mooncakes next year. If you are a homemade bread lover but too lazy to knead the dough, you're going to love this no-kneading baguette recipe. Mix all-purpose flour, salt, yeast, and room temperature water with a spatula. Cover with a shower hat and proof for 30 minutes. Then you pull up the edge of this sticky dough and fold it into the center. Rest for another 30 minutes. Lift and fold the edges again. This step should take you less than 2 minutes. Cover it up and keep the dough in the fridge overnight. Transfer the dough out, cut it into 2 portions. Rest the dough under room temperature for 1 hour. Then gently flatten the dough with your fingertips and tightly roll it up. I don't have any professional baguette tools. I even cut my baguettes with a pair of scissors. But look how perfect I made my baguettes.
Welcome to episode 3 of my Halloween food series. Today we're making kid-friendly pumpkin-shaped pizza bombs. To a bowl, combine 1 cup shredded mozzarella, half a cup of diced ham, half a cup of chopped pepperoni, and optional sliced black olives. Roll out a sheet of pizza dough, cut into 6 portions, roll each portion into a ball, and flatten. Scoop your pizza filling in the center, pull up the sides of your dough, and pinch at the top, creating a tight seal. Make sure there are no holes or the cheese will seep through. Cut 4 pieces of butcher's twine and lay it down in a star shape. Place your pizza bomb in the center, seam side down, bring up the twine and double knot at the top. Snip off any excess twine, then place your pizza bombs on a parchment-lined baking sheet. Brush on some butter. I'm using an herbed garlic mixture, then bake in a 400-degree Fahrenheit oven for 16 minutes. Meanwhile, for my dipping sauce, I'm carving a baby pumpkin and adding a bowl to hold my marinara sauce. Once your pizza bombs have slightly cooled, snip off the twine and discard. For the stems, I'm using twisted pretzels cut in half. If making ahead of time, simply reheat in a 350-degree Fahrenheit oven for 10 minutes. Enjoy!
Cooking Basics for Students, Part 3. Knowing how to boil an egg properly will get you through a lot. And no matter if you like a soft-boiled egg, a medium boil, or a hard one, this method will satisfy all your egg-related needs. Fill a big pot with some water and magically bring it to a boil. Carefully submerge your eggs in the water and start the clock. Cook these eggs between 6 to 12 minutes depending on your preference, which is just enough time for you to get some ice in a bowl and fill that bowl with water. After cooking, we immediately submerge our eggs in an ice bath, not only to ease their soreness and aching muscles, but because we want to immediately stop the cooking process. I found that the easiest way to peel them is by cracking them on all sides and then removing the shell under a stream of cold water. This is after 6 minutes, super soupy and leaky. This is 7-minute egg, not as leaky but still leaky. 8 minutes, my personal favorite. 10 minutes, solidified but still custardy. And 12 minutes, completely hard-boiled. You can use them for whatever your heart desires, and if you suck at cooking, these are
This is 3 cups of garlic cloves, and every 3 months I throw it all into a food processor and puree it for 30 seconds until it looks like a paste. Then I scoop up the paste into small Ziploc bags and seal them up. There's no need to add oil or salt to them. I like to use a dull knife to partition the bags into small squares, with each square equal to about a teaspoon of garlic. And then I freeze this for 3 months to use for soups, stews, stir fries, and any cooked meal.
Are you sick of your friends and loved ones trusting you wholeheartedly? Well, boy, do I have a solution for you. Here are my personal tips and tricks to instill fear and chaos into your daily life. I call this first one, lie about your pop culture knowledge. The next time you hear like a super duper popular song, just act like you don't know it. Like the Star Spangled Banner. Act like you don't know that song. While it's playing, ask questions like, who wrote this song? This is fantastic. And when people inevitably say, are you fucking kidding me? You just have to sell it. You just gotta really go full boat and act like you have no fucking clue what that song is. People are either gonna think that you've been locked in a basement for 20 years or you're slowly losing all your memories. Either way, people are gonna worry about you. So that's what we're looking for. This next one I call public restroom purgatory. I would say the majority of human population are shy poopers. Meaning, when you get into a public restroom and there's no one else in the stalls, you feel like you can really let one loose. But when someone walks in, all of a sudden the anxiety comes up and you kind of can't really take a shit. So here's what you do. You walk into a bathroom and you notice, oh, one person is taking a poop. Do whatever it is you went in there to do, but when you leave, you close the door, but then you push the door open as you walk out to let the person pooping think another person has walked in. Therefore, they will be stuck there yo-yoing a turd for God knows how long until they realize someone else is not in that bathroom with them. This one's fantastic because it's so minimal and you don't even really get to see what's happening in there, but you know you're ruining someone's day, which is exactly what we're looking for. And the last one is just pronouncing silent letters. I don't have a fun name for this one. Like pronouncing the B in subtle or pronouncing receipt, recipit, you know, just really make people think you're an idiot. And then when they confront you on it, just say, I've only ever seen that word written. People are gonna hate you.
Here are some ways to put a core in your props. Of course, when you just glue two pieces of foam together, you will have a very floppy result. That's why a fiberglass rod can be perfect for this. But that doesn't mean you can just put it in between two slabs of foam and call it a day. As you can see, this gives a very bad result. What you could do is cut out 3 of the same pieces, 5mm high density in my case, and in one of them, you cut out the part where the rod will go. Then you can just glue the pieces together. As you can see, the prop is now really sturdy and you can still sand it to give it an edge. A second way, in case you want an even thinner prop, is using 2 sheets of foam and dremeling out a gap on both sides where the rod can go. But make sure you don't dremel all the way though. For more tips and tricks, go follow cosplayshop.be.
I could have my Gucci on. I go wear my Louis Vuitton. But even with nothing on, bet I made you look. You look, yeah, I look good in my Versace dress, but I'm hotter when my morning hair's a mess. Cause even with my hoodie on, bet I made you look. I made you look.
So this isn't actually a brush. It's a feature called Border Effect and Clip Studio.
Okay, so here's how you make that brush in Procreate. Okay, so open up your brushes, go to the plus symbol here, create a new brush. From there, you're going to go to stroke path and then bring down the spacing to 0. Next, you go to stabilization and you're going to bring the amount up to about 25%. Okay. Next, you go to taper and you're going to bring the taper down a bit and then bring the size to about 50% or so. So there. Then go to Apple Pencil and bring down the opacity to 0%. And then tap Done. Go back to your brushes. Duplicate the brush you just created. Then you're going to go back to your brushes, swipe on the new brush you've made with your Apple Pencil, swipe right, and then you should see an option here to do Combine. So click Combine there. Next, click on the brush, and then go to the brush here and set the Combine mode to difference. And then finally, click on the secondary brush, go to Properties, and bring down the maximum size to say about 60% or so. So 58, 60, something like that. And voila, you have your brand new outline brush. I already made one, but so there you go. And it works pretty much the same. Play around with it, but yeah, you're done.
Someone recently told me a polyamorous dating tip that in hindsight seemed simple, but when I first heard it, I was like, whoa. A lot of polyamorous people want to, or are at least interested in, dating couples. But a lot of couples in the dating scene can be Pretty sketchy. Someone recently told me a simple thing they do to see if they want to continue pursuing the couple they're talking to. Even if they want to date the couple, they ask if they can go on a date with each of them individually first. When you make this request, you'll get one of 3 responses. 1, they'll say yes. Great! This gives you more confidence that they care about your boundaries and they see you as a person, not just an add-on. 2, they'll gently decline and explain why. I don't see this as a red flag, but maybe a yellow one. If they can't trust each other to be alone with you, that could shed some light on issues you might have in the future. You can then either decide not to date them or proceed with caution. 3, they'll give you a hard no, ghost you, block you, or throw a fit. And in this case, you know you dodged a bullet. No matter how the couple responds, you can have a lot more confidence about whether or not you want to date them.
Now somebody, anybody, everybody scream!
There's squirrels in my pants.
That girl's got some serious squirrels in her pants.
There's squirrels in my pants.
Tell me what's making you jump like that. S-I-M-P, squirrels in my...
Start by turning on the drawing guide and making the grid max size. Using the modeling brush, select dark gray and draw a circle. Draw and hold to make the shape and then select circle. Fill it in gray. Select the cursor, turn on snapping or magnetics and center the circle. Create a new layer and select white. Draw a smaller circle, fill it in white and center it. Merge the 2 layers, tap the layer and click copy. Duplicate the brush pen. Select shape, shape source, import, and paste. Click done and enjoy your new brush.
Non-art supplies, I use as art supplies, part 2. First up, we have a sponge. If you didn't know, you can cut these up into little circles and then stick that circle into a cup, and it basically turns it into a DIY brush cleaner. And the little pieces of sponge that are left over, they're perfect for collecting just the right amount of water to activate your paint. I might have used a little bit too much for demonstration, but you know what I mean. Next up, we have the best art hack of all time. You get some cornmeal, you get your dirty chalk pastel, and you mix the 2 in a bag and just violently shake it for a little bit, and when it comes out, it's perfectly clean and ready for use. And you can use this little bag hundreds of times. Happy drawing, guys. Let me know if you want part 3.
Oh boy, an excuse to talk about why we don't use pencils in space. Because the thing about pencils, if you've ever used one, is they generate a whole lot of graphite particles when you write them. They get all over your hands. And if you're erasing, that's eraser particles all over the paper. And if you're shaving your pencil, that's pencil shavings all over. And these are all things that in the space station are just going to float out into the air. And either you're going to inhale them or they're going to get into sensitive electronics until they're eventually filtered out by the air filtration system. So when you're in space, you're trying to reduce the amount of particles you generate as much as possible. Maybe you've seen this meme floating around if you've been on the internet long enough, where it talks about how NASA, when they realized standard ballpoint pen wouldn't work in zero gravity, spent some research and development time creating a pen that could work in zero gravity. At the end of all that, Russian cosmonauts just use a pencil. Which is funny and all, but Russian cosmonauts learned that you shouldn't use a pencil in space because of the particles, so now they also use space pens. So, the way they work is the ink will be pressurized with nitrogen on the base. Instead of relying on gravity or anything, it'll be pressurized to kind of push the ink up as it goes, but the ink will also be very, very thick. I'd have to look up the word, I think it was thixiotropic, where it's basically a solid until it's activated by the friction of the ball in the ballpoint. So that prevents it from leaking everywhere. And it's considered a fantastic invention because it works in just about any environment, regardless of gravity or not. It works in a vacuum. It works in a pure oxygen environment. It's a fantastic invention for people who aren't even astronauts. I don't know. I thought it was cool because my job, I don't work in space, but I work in a clean room, and they have kind of similar requirements about the types of paper and pen you can bring into the clean room that don't generate particles. Since normal paper is made up of fibers, I'll just spew those everywhere. It's not great for electronics. Yeah, I haven't used a pencil since high school.
I'm a party girl, and I'm just warning you. You don't get it, you just don't get it. You've already forgotten even though I just said it. Came tonight.
Order of quarters, no boundary boredom, no boundary and boredom. I can tell that your drinking eyes never open. I and say somebody will die, and I hate hoping. Wishing that the pills let you cry, and I hate hoping.
Want to draw heads at weird angles like these in 25 seconds? Let's go. Remember that your facial features are a triangle and that you can use your eyes to measure the distance from your nose to your mouth. Now we all know the generic face like this. Instead, draw a circle, then draw your vertical line, and then draw your horizontal line. Now draw basically a piece of paper on your face and think of it more of a curved shape like this. This breaks it down in your brain easier and makes it much easier to draw weird poses and complex stuff like this.
And there's a place that I've dreamed of, where I can free my mind. I hear the sounds of the season and lose all sense of time.
I will not be using any special brushes. Start with normal locks. Tutorial on my account. For this I recommend ribbing the boxes. Proceed to add a new layer. Over the locks you draw a sort of squiggly line that goes down. Optional, you can erase the middle of this line. So it's gonna look like this. Then you just do that with all the other ones. Important tip, this is just like drawing outside the lines. Make sure that the circular lines are out of the locks. This gives the illusion of the curls and butterfly locks. It should look messy-ish, don't worry about it being perfect. I like to keep all the line art, it looks more textured that way. All done.
This is part 2 of how I make my lavenders, and this is just how I assemble them. So for the stem I use a skewer stick, and I'll put a little bit of hot glue at the top and then add the yarn and just wrap it around the stick, not all the way to the end because there's not really any point because most of it gets covered anyway. So I'll just wrap it and then add some hot glue to stick it down right at the end there. Once you're done with the stem, you want to grab the crochet flower that we made in part 1, and right at the start where we did the 2 double crochets, you want to put a little bit of hot glue and stick that part to the stem using the yarn just to hide any of the excess glue. Then you're going to want to wrap the lavender around the stem. When you do this, you want to make sure that all the lavender is facing in the same way and it's not twisted or anything. And then when I'm done that, I just bunch it up and move it around until I think it looks good. And then I'll get some hot glue and put some at the bottom just to secure the yarn, make sure it doesn't move, and to get rid of that extra yarn at the bottom. When you wrap this around, you want to try to hide all the hot glue because that looks a bit messy. So you want to make sure it looks nice and neat. And then you just cut off the ends and then you're done with your lavender. This is how I make my lavenders. First you want to make a slip knot and then chain about 50. You can do more or less just depending how long you want the lavender to be. And then once you've chained about 50, in the third chain from the hook, you will do 2 double crochets. And then you will chain 2 and slip stitch into the same stitch with the 2 double crochets. Then you slip stitch into the next stitch and chain 6. Once you've chained 6, you slip stitch into the same stitch again and then slip stitch into the next stitch. You want to repeat the chain 6, slip stitch and slip stitch into the next stitch until you get to the very end. and at the end you just finish with another slip stitch, chain 1 and cut off the yarn. And that's it for the crochet part of the lavenders. In part 2 I will turn this into a fully assembled lavender like this one.
How to add smiles to your crochet plushies. Using a darning needle, sew your yarn like this. Before you pull this loop all the way, pass the yarn through it. Now sew it back over. Tie the ends together. Use your crochet hook to pull the ends into the plushie, then snip and tuck them in. And adjust the smile with your darning needle.
Open up your eyes, dear Prudence. See the sun is sky. That never gotta sweat that. I beat a rubber band, you beat a match, I will be a fuse. Boom, painter baby, you could be the muse. I'm the reporter baby, you could be the news. 'Cause you're the cigarette, and I'm the smoker. We raise the bet, 'cause you're the joker, tricked off.
Don't change yarn like this. Instead, try the magic knot. Amazing.
Have you heard of plarn? It's exactly what it sounds like, yarn made from plastic bags. To start, flatten out the bag perfect like this and cut off the top. Next you want to fold it in half and then in half again. From here I cut 1-inch strips. I'll admit that these were a little bit too thick though, so if I were to do it again I would probably cut the strips a little bit thinner, like a 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch. And now when you open each little strip, you'll see that you'll actually have one big little loop thing. And to turn them into yarn, you're going to sort of loop the loops together, if that makes any sense. Do this over and over again and you'll have something that kind of looks like string. Next, you're just going to wrap it into a ball. And that's how you make plarn. To use it, I use a size 5 crochet hook. And then just go ahead and crochet as you normally would. Keep in mind that it is technically 2 strings, so you're just going to want to make sure that you don't accidentally grab the one there like I did, and just use it as one piece. Then you're just going to crochet it as normal. For my first attempt, I made a coaster. The great thing about plarn is that it's really versatile and really strong, and you can get it wet without it getting ruined. So things like soap holders, shopping bags, beach bags become a lot easier to make.
Sheesh. Girl, I'm about to have a panic attack. I did the work, it didn't work. That truth, it hurts. That damn, it hurts. That lovey-dovey shit, was not a fan of it. I'm good with my friends, I don't want a man, girl. I'm in my bed, I'm way too fine to be here alone. On other hand, I know my worth. And now he calling me, why do I feel like this? What's happening to me? Oh, 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 am I ready? Ain't no doubt. Am I ready? What you talking about? Am I ready? You gon' figure it out. To be loved, to be loved. Am I ready? You deserve it now. 'Cause I want it. That's what I'm talking about. Am I ready? You gon' figure it out. To be loved.
And welcome back to another witchy DIY. To kick things off, you're going to grab little pieces of wood, circle reflectors, and a tube of the goo. Gloop up the back of that mirror and then stick it on that thing. I did it. Nice. Thanks, man. Press it down firmly and then grab your clamps. The next day, now that the adhesive is all dry, it's time to get to work. Screw 2 eyelets into the top. Fabulous. Now it's time to grab your moss. Whimsical. And your glue sticks. Now this is the part where you burn your fingers. So just schlep that on and stick that green fuzz all over. Okay. Once you do the whole front, do the edges. Yes, it is quite messy, but look how cute they turn out. Now you could stop here, but we're not. We're grabbing our little tiny stones and our butterfly wings. Yay. And we're gonna glue that shit down. Listen, there's no rhyme or reason to where you put things. Just see what looks good, go with the flow, and look how well they turn out. Chains. The last step of the tutorial is to add the chain. You do this by adding the chain. Very good. And that's it. They're just super
Confirming cuteness.
I love it. Do you love it?
I can't believe I have to do this, but here's how you draw Black people without putting your entire lineage to shame. As usual, all the tips will be written at the end, and you can screenshot for further reference. Or you can save this video for later. First and foremost, the skin tones, like everybody else, it's a variation of orange. Not gray, not red most of the time, not blue, a variation of orange. I'll insert a picture of where the dark skin tones tend to hide because, let's be honest, these are the ones you're always struggling with. Also, here are some shades that I often use. You can take a screenshot and just color pick it for later. The second mistake I see a lot of y'all do is shading. You cannot use black to shade skin, no matter, like, even if it's a dark skin tone. Your best bet is to use a darker brown that is either purplish, bluish, or reddish. Here are some examples. And then after the skin, the most contentious thing is the features. First and foremost, blackness is not a monolith, so Black people come with all types of features. So before you go ahead and Frankenstein some type of face combination that makes no sense, I would highly suggest that you use a reference until you start becoming comfortable with depicting Black people. That being said, when you look at your references, here are some general pointers to pay spatial attention to make sure that you portray the reference as best as you can. First of all, the lips. A lot of Black people's lips are two-toned. For some reason, whenever I see non-Black people drawing Black people, that's never something that's included. Whereas it's a very popular feature. A lot of people have two-tone lips, myself included. Also, obviously, the lips tend to be bigger, more plump, yada yada. I'm just not trying to state the obvious here. The nose. This one is the biggest giveaway that you just drew a white person and made the skin darker. A lot of Black people do not have a nose bridge. My nose bridge is the biggest one in my family and I barely have one. So look out for that. Eye shape. I've seen Black people have all sorts of eye shapes, but that is really influenced by like the way your nose falls. So make sure that you use a reference, because if the nose doesn't match the eyes, it's gonna look off, especially if your style is more realistic. So pay special attention to the fold of like the eyelids, I would say. Finally, the hair. Not every day 3C curls, okay? It's okay to draw 4C hair. And then when you do 4C hair, oftentimes it's in protective styles. Make sure that the protective style you choose matches the lifestyle of your character. I cannot stress this enough. Okay, so these were general tips. Let me know if you want anything more detailed.
This is the easiest way to draw, then slap it up your whoopee lips. So you wanna do that shit, the gradient, and then you wanna take the blur and blur that shit. Blur is your best friend. Then you wanna clean it up. Now I'm not doing it that good here because I can't fucking record and also draw. It's been my bane. And then throw a little highlighting over there and then blur again. I told you blur was your G. And then take a multiply layer and the same color and just like do more shadows and stuff.
Out for love, think of who you care about, protect them and be out for love. You're gonna fight without gloves long as you're out for love. Fuel yourself with the fear of losing that somebody who's your reason to live. Harness your heart and you can't help choose it.
IBIS paint trick of the day.
Colored screen tones. Make a new layer. Turn on clipping. Tap the blend modes, then screen tone. I chose .L16. Use an airbrush and make sure your selected color is black. Airbrush the parts where you want to put the screen tones on. Open the layers window. Tap the 3 dots and tap rasterize. Now tap alpha lock so we can color just the dots. Choose any saturated color. Make sure you're using a solid brush like this one. Now color the entire thing. Change the blend mode to what you need. Adjust the opacity if needed. Use it on parts of your artwork like the eyes. Be creative.
Early this morning, when you knocked upon my door, and I said, hello Satan, I believe it is time to
Here's a handy tip for gluing on details on your cosplay. Maybe you recognize this, but whenever gluing a more intricate detail on your foam, it might happen some of it gets stuck too soon and on the wrong place. You try removing it again, but that rips off the glue as well. To avoid this, use a piece of baking paper. Just cover up the places you don't want to glue yet. The glue will not stick to the paper. For more tips and tricks, follow cosplayshop.be.
So to use a web browser on a DS, you need to have it pre-installed, or you need to buy an actual card that has a web browser. All you then have to do is press this icon and search where you want to go. YouTube also works, barely, but it won't on some consoles. You will come across this message multiple times and just press accept. There you go.
Subtracting from 10 is a pain because you're going to have to borrow. But subtract a penny from the top and a penny from the bottom, same answer, no borrowing. And this works with any number that has zeros on the end. One from the top, one from the bottom, piece of cake. Till next time.
This is going to get suppressed because I'm not going to bother trying to censor some of these trigger words that really upset the algorithm. You're a teacher in a school that's getting shot up. You hear somebody on the other side of your door banging, and they know that the locked, closed, and otherwise darkened room means bodies inside because they grew up with this kind of thing and they know damn well what happens during lockdowns like this. That being said, they're trying to get in. You have nothing to defend yourself with, or so you think, and you know that the second they get in, it's going to be a melee, and most of the kids and yourself, and well, definitely you, are all going to get taken out by this guy. So what can you do? What should you do? Is there any option? Yes, there is, surprisingly. It's not great, it's a last-ditch effort, and there's absolutely still every chance in hell that you're gonna die, but sugar, you're going down singing, and this is a highway to hell. With a fire extinguisher, nonetheless. What is a fire extinguisher good for, you might say? Katie, what do I hit him with it? Well, yes, that's step 2. But step 1 is to shoot the fire extinguisher's substrate straight into the face. If they're not wearing any form of protective gear on their face or on their eyes, it's definitely going to blind them really bad. But also, even if they are wearing some form of glasses, goggles, or helmet, it is going to get all over their helmet and still temporarily blind them. And the huge potential of getting into their airways and causing issues breathing. Now, you're not going to rely on that aspect of it. You're going to rely on the fact that no matter what, it is going to blind them for just those few seconds. And the human reaction when they're blind is to reach for their face. Now that can mean that they are literally just reaching up with the weapon because they're trying to rub it away, or they have to take one hand off of their literal assault rifle in order to get it off their face. Those are precious seconds that you can use to now bum rush them with them blinded. And if you don't want to bum rush, that's fine. In fact, it's better if you don't. If you were prime and posed right on the other side of the concrete wall, like adjacent to the door, then you can crouch. You can actually have done this from the low end anyway, like shot up at them and still gotten a great shot at their face. But you are now in a position to slam your body weight into the back of their knees, which will make them fall over. That's not saying that the substrate from the fire extinguisher all over your linoleum floor hasn't already made them slip and fall over. That also being said, that just getting shot in the face in the first part did not knock them over, because depending on your fire extinguisher will depend on like how powerful that velocity is. Again, not something to rely on, but once they're on their back, you can now take the blunt end of your fire extinguisher and smash it into their face. You can fight them for the rifle. You can do all kinds of fun activities at that point. Lanyards as a non-consensual scarf. Doesn't matter. Kicking and screaming is how you'll go down. Way better than just standing there with your body in front of your kids. It's not much, but it is something that you need to be aware of is an option if you need to use it. This is forced adaptation. It is not something that I like to have to suggest, but it's something more people need to be aware of is an option for you. There are lots of things you can do on the highway to hell that could potentially backfire on your side as well, and the likelihood of you dying either way, though, kind of negates any of those problems being a problem for you. I know for a fact that if I am going to make this a problem for this guy, if I shoot him with this fire extinguisher, not only is it going to temporarily disengage him, it also can temporarily mess up his assault rifle, because the substrate is not exactly a good thing to get in a gun. Or at least it's a lot slippery and harder for him to hold on to, which means I can get it away from him one way or another. It's a struggle. How long do school shootings last on average? Not very long. They're actually relatively short events, all things considered, on average. So every single moment that you can give this guy a hard time is a moment less that he can use to shoot a literal innocent child that cannot do anything. And while you're struggling with him, that gives your kids a chance to run out the door while you're trying to wrestle away the gun or otherwise. He's on his back, he's shocked, he's surprised, no idea or anticipation that it was on the way. They're going in there because they don't anticipate anyone to fight back. They are fully expecting this to be easy pickings until the cops show up. That is why they do it, in part. And so, when they get any form of surprise attack, it is going to throw them off and shock them and cause their adrenaline to truly kick in. Fully. It's all you can do, and it fucking sucks. And understanding, there is nothing wrong with the teachers who went down with their bodies in front of their kids. They had no idea what else they could do. They were terrified. They were just trying to get in the way of any kind of damage. That was them going down like a hero with their body as a shield. My point being is that there are options besides just human shield. There's human offensive weapon. And understand, this is not some hero in the moment kind of fantasy where you save the day and end the shooting yourself. This is, you are being a problem before you die because you were probably going to die anyway. That's what it is. Again, it's highway to hell. You already are on the way. You're the one who's going to get taken out for sure. Teachers never survive in these scenarios. What can you do to be the biggest pain in the ass or problem before you go out? Because that moment of problem can save so many lives or potentially put an end to it. And if you're lucky, you might take him with you. That's the real goal at the end of the day.
If you relate to autistic content and you're starting to think you might be autistic, but you know it's not a good idea to diagnose yourself based off of videos you see on social media, then here's what you can do. You're going to get a journal or a binder specifically for your autism research, and you're going to research autism spectrum disorder, specifically the traits, read peer-reviewed studies. I live in the US, so I'm not sure about other countries, but if you live in the US, you're going to look up what the DSM-5 says about autism. You're going to highlight all the information that you resonate with. In your research, you'll find the term Asperger's, which is an outdated term. Anybody who would have previously been diagnosed with Asperger's would now be diagnosed with autism. Also be aware that there are organizations that aim to cure autism, such as Autism Speaks. Next, you're going to take a couple of online autism assessments like the RADS-R, the CAT-Q, or the Autism Spectrum Quotient Test, the AQ test. You're going to read books like What I Mean When I Say I'm Autistic and Unmasking Autism. You're going to read the unofficial autism checklist by Samantha Kraft. I know it says females with autism, but I honestly think this applies to people that aren't female. For example, highly intelligent, serious and matter-of-fact in nature, naive, feelings of being misplaced or from another planet, feelings of isolation, escape, imitation, repetition, collection, OCD, anxiety, autoimmune disorders, problems with eating. You can read it, you get the idea. However, a professional diagnosis is not accessible to everyone. If you're currently waiting for one or you're not able to get one and after extensive research you still think you might be autistic, then the best course of action would be to act as if it were true. To start finding ways to accommodate yourself, to start finding autistic community, to listen to and take advice from autistic people and autistic creators and not just the ones who are high masking, late diagnosed like me. And hopefully work towards acceptance and learning how to move through the world in the best way for you. I hope this helps.
Why are y'all scared of your tasers? Have you learned nothing? You can't be scared of it. Like, you can't. I've tased myself in the butt. I've created the circuits. I have tased myself in the eyeball. Okay? I don't fear tasers. And y'all are getting them. But why are you getting these ones? You need one of these bad boys. The hitting stick. You get them a concussion, then tase them in the neck and the crotch, or up the booty hole. It'll fit, because you can fit a whole raccoon up in there. And then the iPhone taser. It's a great little fun gadget, but look at that. What's that little zap gonna do? It's gonna scare them. That's what it's gonna do. It'll make them maybe pee their pants. Umbrella taser, don't really know the purpose, because if it's raining and you add water and electricity, get an umbrella taser. Anyways, don't be scared of the taser. Just like sit there like this and watch it. You might go blind.
Do you go to school in the United States, or are you a teacher? Well, this is what you should either keep in your backpack or in your drawer of your desk in case of inactive shooter situation. I'm not going to mince my language once again. Good day, my name is Kitty. It is a displeasure to meet me, because the only reason you're seeing this is because you live in an active war zone. So basically what you're going to want to do is either pick a drawer of your desk and or a pocket in your backpack that is your designated protection pocket, where you keep these things at all times so that you are aware of where they are. Everyone is going to potentially freeze in a moment. Everything you do to prepare can be for nothing, but the more you are prepared, the less likely you are to freeze, or at least you can get some semblance of a chance to control it. So let's go over some of those things. One of the first and foremost, most important things you need is some form of ear covering or protection. If you are non-combatant, in other words, you know you can't fight, you know you could never fight, life or death, you are going to be playing dead. Either way, earplugs, just regular earplugs. Put them in your ears as soon as the lockdown starts. Because when you are going to have those gunshots go off, you are in an enclosed environment with concrete walls and linoleum flooring. It is going to be very, very loud, and this will help. Humans are very auditorily stimulated into both fear and into fight. So if these cover your ears, that will help you out. It will help it be just a smidgen less traumatic, because you will not have such clear remembrance of the sounds of the day. If you are dealing with a bunch of small children, you can have earmuffs or otherwise if they can't be trusted to have these in their ears without it just ending up in there forever. This can also help them not hear each other be scared and thus be a little quieter themselves. And in the case of you playing dead, it's just one less thing when it comes to the loud sounds of the gun, and it can inherently help you jump a little less. Of course, you very likely could still well jump. It's going to be loud as hell. Now, if you're a fighter, you want some form of earphone or something like this. I mean, earplugs work too, the regular, but one of the reasons I believe in having some over-the-ear headphone, is because you can basically pick a song to die to. I'm talking some kind of battle video game OST, your favorite movie's OST during the final fight. The reason you do this is, like I said, humans are very auditorily stimulated. This can help amp you up to the fact that you are about to have to literally fight to your own death. Because remember, I'm not trying to help you survive, I'm trying to help you be a problem before you die, because there is no guarantee any of this is gonna work, but it can slightly help you out in the moment and give you the best chance in hell you have to go down swinging. So yes, something like that, any headphone will do, but the over-the-ear ones are just less likely to get jostled in all the hustle and bustle. Moving on, this is just another pair of headphones I have. I hate doing this. A pair of scissors like this, they can be longer, they can be shorter. I will have another video on exactly how to hold scissors and the best places to aim, but one of the things I like about scissors is I can keep a hair tie in one place with them, because if you have longer hair, you should carry at least one, if not two hair ties in this pouch, because if you are going to be combatant, you do want to pull your hair up into a bun as fast as possible and get your bangs out of your face if you have them. Now, if you are going to be non-combatant and you are fully anticipating just pretending to be dead, you want the opposite. You want your hair in your face as much as possible so that if you are laying on the ground, it helps cover some of the movement. It is going to be very hard to control your breathing, so this will just help cover any of those twitches or facial movements. So when you're getting scanned over, hopefully you get fully glossed over. Other things to help with that would be some form of actual face mask, because again, it's just less of your face they can see, so if they are looking to see if you are moving your mouth, if your lips are trembling, if you're breathing, this will hide it. And if your teacher, you are a teacher, or your teacher is using some form of spray defense, as in like the fire extinguisher, as I highly, highly, highly recommend, or wasp spray, bear mace, etc., those particles are not going to be fun. They're going to be in the air, and no matter if you have this or not, it will impact your breathing system and your eyes, but this makes just a little bit of difference, makes it a little bit easier, because remember, when you are doing melee defense, you are in their business, so any kind of spray, you actually want to be close to them when they first get in the room. So something like that, as well as potentially some form of goggles, sunglasses, etc. I don't have any in this bag because I don't need them for this. I know my eyes would be fine, but that will help, especially in the spray. Other things you can have. Now this is sugar, you're going down super swinging mode. I don't recommend this one very much, but it will work. Just a hair, anything for your hair, Axe body spray if it says it's flammable, a small travel size, and a lighter. You have an instant flamethrower. I will also go over that kind of like defense, the pros and cons, etc. on another video. Another thing to potentially have, a metal nail file, something simple like this. Again, I'll go over how to hold it, where to aim, etc. later. Another thing you can have is a small compact mirror. This, if you get stuck on your own somewhere, can help you peer around, as well as just generally know what's going on, or you could just last minute break it depending on what it is and you have a sharp tool. But this is more for just being able to peer around if you get caught solo. Side note, if you get caught solo, unfortunately, I would not recommend actually covering your ears in that case. Maybe just plug one, but you do want to have your ears as open as possible if you get caught out alone in a hallway or a bathroom, because you're going to want to be able to hear them coming. If you're in a classroom, you are not going to need those auditory clues. You are going to know when they are at your door. They're going to be shooting, trying to get through the room or get the bullets through the room. So that's not going to be something that you need necessarily. Also, the lights are likely going to be off. So again, sunglasses work, but you're going to be really pitch black. You are only aiming at one thing, so it's a little easier for you because they're going to be coming in from a light source. But these are just other things to keep in mind. Like I said, keep all of these things in a pocket that you know exactly where it is, and you don't touch it. You don't go in there, you leave it be. The headphones are just an extra pair of headphones, or the earplugs, they stay there, the hair ties, the scissors. I don't care if you just think, oh, well, I just need the nail file like right now, I'll put it right back. Leave it there, get another one. I know some schools don't allow you to keep your backpack with you. I know some schools don't allow you to carry around pouches, etc. Some of these things you can just keep in your pockets or otherwise hidden about. I will show and tell more of that later. This sucks. Remember, if you're charging towards, if you're going combatant, it is best to put this in front of your chest if you're going towards them, because this is where he is aiming. It is your main area. Like, yes, you could get boom headshotted, but at the end of the day, this is the easiest target, your torso. So having this, if you have one of those bulletproof inserts, if you have a couple of thicker textbooks, can make all the difference between you getting a life-threatening bullet or just getting a real big old bruise. Now, if you're running away, absolutely, you wear this on your back. Basically, your backpack is facing whatever the shooter is facing. If you are wearing a zippered hoodie, zip it up or take it off before you go combatant, because that is, again, something that you could get caught in. My biggest issue with having this in front of you is the fact that it is a little lumpy and frumpy, but at the end of the day, that can actually help you as well, because he's going to be grabbing at this, and it's one more thing to confuse him, while you can easily disengage it at any time and use it to continue to hold him down. Literally, you could put this over his face and just shove down on his head. Makes it a lot harder. Once again, I'll be going over actual like melee last minute, you are not a combat experienced person, kind of like ways to ambush, etc. And if you're about to make any kind of colorful commentary about big time solutions that aren't happening anytime soon, this is not for you. This is for the people who have to deal with this every single day, something that they can start working towards literally today and potentially have to use tomorrow, because these happen all the time. So yeah, I hate this. This is not the most comprehensive list. There are going to be more. There are more Uno reverses, more nuances, more other things that you can have with you. People are going to be typing up in the comments, I am sure. Please do spread this, help boost it, because it's going to need it to get to the people it needs to get to the teenagers and teachers who have to live with this, as well as the literal children who have to deal with this. And if you are somebody who is going to freeze, if you are non-combatant, if you are terrified, that is perfectly normal. I shouldn't have to be giving you this information in the first place. So all I can do is best tell you how to survive or how to play dead so that you can feel like you know what to do, and that will help you in the moment to actually do it, because all you can do at the end of the day is plan, prepare, and practice. And for those of you teenagers who are filled with an angst-fueled rage, that teenage hormone of anger that you are so well known for, be the problem you always are known to be. Weaponize that, capitalize on that to make yourself a problem for the person who is absolutely going to take your life, because you're not going in thinking you're going to survive. You're going in and being like, well, they can give me all the extra holes they want. I am making myself a problem for this fucker before I die, because I may as well. What else am I going to do? Just sit there? No one else is going to help you. So this is all you can do to help yourself. And I'm fucking sorry.
Here's a tip. If you want your nail polish to last long, the #1 thing is nail prep, which involves this, dehydrating the nail plate. I'm just using acetone, and that's because if you have any oil at all, whether it be nail oil, hand cream, moisturizer, shampoo, body lotion, or just your natural oil, then that oil is gonna sit in between your nail plate and your base coat or your polish, and then it's gonna pop off easier. So I also like to round the nail with my cleanup brush. Even after I put the glossy taco on, you don't want any polish, whether it's the base coat, the middle coat of color, or the top coat to be on the nail. Or sorry, to be on your skin, holy shit. Because then you're gonna have like a peeling issue, because polish will peel off your skin and then lift what's on your nail. So if you would like to avoid that issue, just make sure you try and remove any from your skin as you're painting.
Do I have any recommendations for quiet stim toys? Definitely. Stress balls are always a great option. You just want to make sure that it's one that doesn't have any air or Orbeez inside, because those will make noise like this. Tangles do make a little bit of noise, but they're pretty quiet, and I've been able to use them at school and have been totally fine. Some classics, a marble and mesh is completely silent. You could also try bike chains, or they also come in bigger sizes. Acupressure rings are also really great and completely silent. I love anything that has a lot of texture to it. Or this purple goo tubes is a really good silent visual stim.
Someone asked me to make a tutorial, and so I just drew these gems really quick, and it's pretty easy. Let me show you. Start with filling them in whatever color you want. After you're done filling them in, go over and make a clipping layer. You can do that in almost any program. Then go over and select the lasso selection tool. Take a darker color and also maybe change the hue. I think it looks better, but that's up to you. Then go over and scribble, like, try to use like straight lines. Then just fill it in. I just changed the opacity and then it looks a little bit better. I'm gonna do the scribbling again, but with a different color. And then I'm gonna clip that guy too. Turn down the opacity. Then I just do what I normally do for shading. Color in the line. Add extra highlight if you want to, and then you're done.
The fan is the perfect self-defense weapon. A metal fan, though. If somebody were to attack you with a knife, do
Do you think like a knife would be more effective? You actually have to learn how to use a knife to use it for self-defense. And a knife is good for attacking, but not defending. You see the pretty decoration on the fabric part, but look at this side. These are metal bars here, and they fan out across. This is a shield. Whichever way I need the shield part of my fan, either if I need it on one side, I need it on the other side. I can immediately switch. If you have a knife coming, you've now got a shield, right? You can block the end, and then you can actually go and bring it and deflect it out to the side. Not only is it a shield, you immediately can close it and use it as a baton. This fan that I'm going to get you guys the affiliate link as soon as they set it up is almost a pound. If you don't think a pound hurts, take something that is a pound, drop it on your foot or drop it on your hand and see how much that hurts. You block and then you immediately disarm. You take that, you smash the hand that's holding the knife, and you've disarmed your opponent. With the fan, edge of these metal ribs, when we open the fan this way, this is opening across someone's eyes. If you've watched any MMA fights, you know how damaging fingers in the eyes are. It can end a fight. It's not just trying to poke your eye with some fingers. All of this is going across your eyes. And even if you don't get someone in the eyes, you will make them step back. And for self-defense, that's all you need. You just need to make that space so that you can then escape. And then finally, what is the most underrated benefit of a fan is that it blocks your opponent's vision. You need to see what the other person is going to do to prepare for it. When you can't see what they're going to do, you're at a disadvantage. I block your vision, you can't see. I went a knife, I grabbed my knife. You have pepper spray, I've got a shield. So tell me, do you still think that a metal fan is not a useful weapon? If you want to be the attacker, then yeah, don't use the fan. But if you want to defend yourself, then a fan is actually really effective.